Hey everyone, how's it going? It's your boy Skilled Fawn, and today we are going to be doing a Demon Souls challenge run. It's been a while since the last time we played this, but let's jump straight into the rules. Starting off, I cannot die, aka no deaths. Dying can be caused from bosses, enemies, and gravity, or maybe a combination of them. Since I cannot die, I will have to take things as cautiously as possible. Next, I must defeat all bosses. Subsequently, I cannot summon other players or NPCs to help during fights. This way, things will be much more challenging and interesting to watch. Afterwards, I must beat the game. And lastly is glitches and or exploits are allowed. I'm hyped to be showing this off to you guys. Demon Souls is such a underrated game in my opinion, and since I haven't played it in a while, it will be nice to hop back in. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the video or my content. I greatly appreciate all the support and the nice comments you guys have sending my way. Without further ado, let's get into the run. Starting off, we enter the Nexus, which is the central hub in Demon Souls. Here, I'm able to level up, go to various worlds, repair and upgrade weapons, and so on. Next, we are going to enter the first world, which is Gates of Latria. Here, we will find and grab some useful items. First is the Cling Ring, which will give me extra health when in soul form, and secondly is the Thief Ring. The Cling Ring will really only be useful at the beginning of the game, as this is the only time I will be in soul form. To explain a bit for those unfamiliar, whenever the player defeats a boss, they will then be in human form and will have their full health bar. In soul form, the player is given half of their health. When the player dies in human form, they return to soul form. If the player dies too much in human form in that specific world, then their world will go towards Black World tendency. In contrast to Black World tendency, if the player kills enough bosses without dying in that world, then they will slowly go towards White tendency, making bosses and enemies much easier. There's a lot more that I could cover, but I don't want to slam you guys with information, and just want to get the basic premise across. Later in the level, we come across a few drakes that are protecting some items. Here is one of the best shields for World 2, and this is the Purple Flame Shield. Since World 2 has a ton of fire-related bosses, this will be great at reducing damage taken. Afterwards, we head into Phalanx's fight. This boss is, in most of my challenge runs, has been fairly simple, but in my shield only run, dear god, this boss was harder than Old King Allant. Luckily, in this run, we are able to use fire bombs and whatever else I feel like. Fire-related attacks are great for this boss, but especially fire bombs. Since there are over 20 enemies in this fight, the fire bombs are awesome at thinning them out. Eventually, we take them down and get our first demon soul. With this, we are able to travel to other worlds. I figured this would be a good point to head into the smithing grounds. This is the second world, and that purple flame shield that I picked up earlier will help a lot in this area. One reason I really like coming here early is this is a great place to farm for weapon upgrade items. There are various enemies that will be carrying around a bag, and when killed, they will drop a ton of weapon upgrade materials. It also helps that there's a blacksmith here for weapons that use abnormal means of upgrading. Though I'm not using one of these weapons, it will still be good to have him. I want to quickly mention something that I dislike about Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, which is the insane variety of weapon upgrade materials. Essentially, each area will have a designated material, and for instance, the second world with the spider boss and, the fire bosses, it has spider stone shards, dragon stone shards, etc. Basically, fitting the theme for each area. The fifth world has cloud stone shards and, has those creatures flying around. I could name some more, but I think you guys get the point. Each area has a designated material used for upgrading. I quite dislike this, as you have to farm loads in one area instead of getting materials while progressing through the game. Anyways, enough on that subject. We get some upgrade materials and head into this area's boss fight. We enter Armor Spider's arena and find that it is spraying fireballs and some type of flammable liquid on the ground that if the player gets caught, it traps them, dealing a ton of damage. Many bosses in Demon Souls are simple, but this is the epitome of simple. I like to get close to her, but at first I went mage mode since I wanted to be a bit more cautious. When I realized how piss poor my damage was, I changed things up. Switching to melee, I get up close to it and start smacking. Even though it's not the best damage, it is higher and faster than the mage option. With time and patience, we take the spider down and keep progressing. With Armor Spider down, we get some nice souls to level up with. I was debating on where to go next, but then decided on Latria. This is one of my favorite areas in the game. First time I played this, I was honestly terrified of those octopus head guys and the theme of the area. There's a statue that will fire on the player using arrows, and usually the player should go the long way around. I was quite impatient, and I thought I could, get by just by rolling, and unfortunately I had to get it hit a ton of times. Luckily, we have some great heals that get me to max health, but oof, was that close. We make it into the Fool's Idol boss fight, but not before taking down the guy that will continually summon her if not defeated. This boss will summon a bunch of clones that will help attack the player. In order to determine which one is the real version, I recommend locking onto the various Fool's Idol. If there is a health bar when locked on, then this isn't the actual boss and is a clone. Another method that can be utilized is looking at the sorcery blast that she does. I believe that the clones will fire smaller projectiles than the main boss. After some time, we take her down and keep progressing. I head back to the Nexus and talk with Blacksmith Bolden to upgrade my weapon a bit. Subsequently, we head into World 5. Here we find a ton of roly-poly skeletons that can be a pain to deal with. Since we have a shield, it isn't as bad, but they still can be quite annoying. We collect a copper key and open the jail cell to a friendly merchant NPC. He isn't the most useful now, but after we defeat the next boss, he will have some great stuff to sell. One thing I like about this world is that you are able to skip 50% of the level by doing this roll skip to the very end. We enter Adjudicator's fight and quickly drop down so we are on the same level as him. This massive demon is being controlled by this glowing bird, and to be blunt, I'm not sure how this even works, even lore-wise. Maybe some of you that know the lore might be able to comment on this. But yeah, the gimmick of this fight is that this weapon is stuck inside of him. If the player damages that area, then the boss will fall down, allowing hits on the bird. This is a lot easier than it seems, and within 2 rotations, we take him down and keep progressing. Continuing on in World 5, we relink with the NPC we rescued. Here we are able to get some nice things, including a bow, arrows, poison kunai, and some sticky white slime. The kunais are great for many bosses, and I underestimated the poison effect on those bosses. A lot of bosses in this game can be poisoned, so it's actually a really good status effect. As we progress towards the next boss, we are going to take down some reapers, and dear god, these reapers suck. As we were moving along, I wanted to quickly talk about the level design in worlds for those who are unfamiliar. Essentially, there are 6 archstones, and these are connected to a certain world. One of the archstones was destroyed, so there's only 5. Otherwise, the player can go through any archstone and, enter whatever level. Besides the first world, there are 4 zones per world, with the first having an extra one. As the player goes towards the end of the levels in the world, the zones will become harder and the enemies will have more health. Simply put, worlds 1-1 and 3-1 have the same difficulty as 1-3 and 3-3. Hopefully that made sense, but once again, I'm just trying to simplify this as best as possible while getting the information across. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. The next boss we're going to take down is Old Hero. This fight is made super simple with the Thief Ring, which basically makes him rarely aggro on the player. Those poison kunai that I picked up not long ago will be great for this boss, but also Storm King and Penetrator. This fight will usually take a long time, but it's pretty simple, so that the player doesn't have to stress out while fighting him. There were a few times that I did get hit, and it was massive damage, but that was because I was playing overly aggressive with him. Eventually, I just let the poison damage build up and then attack a few times when he's moving around. We take down Old Hero and acquire his demon soul. Afterwards, we head into Storm King's arena, our first archdemon. At the end of each world, there is an archdemon. Basically, the minor bosses report to the archdemons, and then they report to the old one. If you have played the other From Software games, then this fight may be familiar. The player is given a sword in the arena, specifically to use in this fight. This is very similar to Yorm the Giant in DS3 or Rykard in Elden Ring. I am really happy that I picked up the extra poison kunai earlier because these are pretty underrated in this fight. I like to poison it from the get-go, then as it's flying around go for melee hits. The poison damage adds up pretty quick, and a lot quicker than you'd actually expect, and damages him when the player wouldn't be able to. Thankfully, without incident, we take down Storm King and obtain our first Archdemon soul. Now we will be able to travel without going to the Nexus every time. Depraved Chasm is the 6th world in our next location. Here we find that nearly everything inflicts poison damage, and that sickly creatures roam the area. Curse you, Miyazaki, curse you. You love your poison areas. Leechmonger is the first boss that we will fight here. And yeah, these bosses are all quite easy, but it's, completely dependent on your playstyle. With the longbow that we picked up earlier, this will make the first and last boss in this area super simple. Basically, these bosses require the player to go towards them, and so if they don't, then they can just shoot down on them. An extremely quick and easy fight. Let's move on. We traverse through the massive poison swamp and arrive at Dirty Colossus. Dirty Colossus, in my opinion, is the hardest boss in this world/zone. Definitely harder than the Archdemon. This is because it will shoot out some type of insect that will drain the player's health when hit. This also causes the player's heals to be less effective, and, so they won't heal as much. With time and patience, we take him down and head into the Archdemon's fight. Maiden Astraea is the Archdemon in this zone. She is guarded by her knight, which will block the left path. Since we are doing a no-death run, the best thing is to be cautious. This is the reason that we are going to only use a bow, and, since we get decent damage, and, we aren't going to be in harm's way. This does take quite a long time, and doesn't help that I don't have my bow upgraded. Basically, we spam her to victory and claim another Archdemon soul. Let's switch gears and return to World 2, where we fought the Armor Spider previously. We come back to the smithing grounds and basically do a bunch of ledge jumps till we reach the next boss. I'd argue that this boss, Maneater, and Old King Alon are the hardest bosses in the game. Flame Lurker is insane because he's extremely aggressive and has a lot of area of effect attacks. I decided to use the poison kunai again, but unfortunately he's fairly resistant to it. After a while we get him poisoned, and I use my sticky white slime to buff up and get decent damage on him. Once Flame Lurker gets low on health, he will enter his phase 2, where he becomes even more aggressive. Here he really doesn't let off the player, and I believe he deals more damage. Eventually we take Flame Lurker down, so let's head towards Dragon God. With Dragon God, the whole gimmick is running around and destroying barriers. Once that's completed, the player must go and fire 2 spears. Otherwise, there's really nothing to note. This is a pretty simple and easy boss. I'd much rather go against this than Beta Chaos. I guess I gotta prepare for DS1 no death soon. With Dragon God down, we head back to Latria. Here we find Maneater and take him on. At first, this fight is just one Maneater, but as the music ramps up, there will be a second that spawns. We're going to be using a cheese where we fool the AI into thinking we aren't in the arena anymore. Using the Thief's Ring, we can hide in this one corner, and eventually the Maneater duo will return to where they started. This way I can fight one at a time and not have to worry about getting ganked by them. Once we take care of the first Maneater, the second is quick to follow. Old Monk is the archdemon in this world. Since I'm playing offline, this is the normal NPC that spawns. But if the player is online, then they could actually fight a player invading their world. Once again, we are going to spam kunais for the win and get some backstabs on this fool. We take him down, and so let's head into the final area. With 4 bosses left, we make our way back towards Lataria's gates and enter Tower Knight's arena. At this point, we are hella overpowered for these early game bosses, so we just make quick work of him. Our next boss is not going to be easy. Penetrator can deal a lot of damage and actually grab the player. One of the reasons I love the kunai is for this boss right here. With just 2 of them, you could poison proc him. Afterwards, it's just a game of rolling, getting a few hits, then backing away, and then rinse repeat. Who's your favorite boss in Demon Souls, or even the Soulsborne series? I want to know in the comments below. I think my personal favorites are like Nameless King, Melania, Blade of MacLeod, and then in DS1, I would say maybe like Gwendolyn, something like that. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Old King Alon is arguably the hardest boss in Demon Souls, and is one of my favorite fights in the game. When he is not buggy as shit, this fight is really fun but tough. Stocking up on all of my resources and upgrading my weapon to a decent level will make this fight slightly easier. And I could have done this exploit slash glitch where if you aim with a bow and go to the left of his arena when you're entering the fog gate, he actually won't aggro on you, and you can just keep swiping him. But, you know, I figured that wouldn't be the most fun thing to watch, so, you know, let's actually take him down. I've talked in previous challenge run videos and made a meme compilation just on how buggy and insane Old King Alon can be. Basically, he will cancel his animation for charging at the player and just instantly dashes at the player. I've encountered this numerous times in my challenge runs, but thankfully not in this one. I believe it was like 0.5 seconds. Like, he'll do some animation where he maybe like, I don't know, backsteps or something, and then within 0.5 seconds he'll like dash at the player. Like, it's just insane. Definitely check out, if you are interested, the videos I'm talking about. I will post a link in the description or in the comments, so check that out. Shaving away at his massive health bar, we get him low and take him down. Back at the Nexus, we join the Maiden in Black. Here we jump below the Nexus to see the Old One, aka the King of Demons. We also find King Alon's true version. The version that we fought previously was someone mimicking him and taking his place. The sad reality is that King Alon believes this form ascends humanity. We defeat the last boss in the game, and yeah, this is Demon Souls and no deaths completed. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to hit the like button, comment, and or subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. It really helps me and the channel, and more than you can imagine. Try and do something kind for someone today if you are able. And this is your boy Skilled Fawn, and I'm out.